Josh and Lizzie have been best friends since childhood, despite Lizzie initially being Becky's friend, Josh's older sister. Despite the 3-year age gap between them, they hit it off the moment they met and have been best friends ever since. Lizzie was always adventurous and wild, often finding herself in trouble. Her parents thought that if she got married and settled down early, it might tame her a little, so they kept setting her up on blind dates, hoping she'd find someone to settle down with. But Lizzie never went on those dates. Instead, she always asked Josh to go in her place. Just his presence was usually enough to make the dates decide not to contact them again. One day, Lizzie told Josh that her parents had arranged another date for her and begged him to go in her stead. She showed Josh a picture of the person, and he exclaimed, "He's so attractive and totally your type. Why do you want me to go instead of going yourself?" Lizzie responded, "He's totally your type too. Plus, I have a boyfriend now." Josh asked why then she hadn't told her parents about her boyfriend to stop them from setting her up on dates. Lizzie responded that she's dating Nick, their next-door neighbor. Josh replied that her parents are definitely not going to accept their relationship because Nick is the complete opposite of what they want for her. Lizzie admitted, "That's why I can't tell them now, and why I need you to go on this date for me. I promise it's the last time." Reluctantly, Josh agreed to go, on the condition that it would truly be the last time. On the day of the date, Josh arrived at the meeting place and caught sight of the date from a distance. He was captivated by his appearance, as he initially thought he might be a catfish, but he looked even more attractive in person. Josh approached and took a seat. Finn, the date, informed Josh that the seat was taken, to which Josh responded, "I know, I'm your date." Finn pulled out his phone, comparing the picture of his date to Josh. Josh then remarked, "That's me. I look different, right? Are you disappointed?" Finn smiled and replied, "No, I like you now." Josh was taken aback by Finn's unexpected reaction, as he was accustomed to dates reacting angrily and leaving immediately upon realizing he was a guy. Determined to find another way to make Finn dislike him and leave, Josh resorted to lying during their introductions. He claimed he only showered once a month and stated that he preferred partners who were completely submissive and willing to take orders from him. Despite Josh's attempts to weird Finn out and even be mean, Finn remained calm and composed, smiling throughout. Josh even resorted to clumsiness, spilling drinks all over Finn, but Finn stayed unruffled, calmly cleaning himself up without showing any signs of anger. Despite Josh's efforts to provoke a reaction and make Finn leave, nothing seemed to work. At the end of the date, Finn told Josh he would call him, to which Josh replied, "You don't have my number." Without a word, Finn dialed a number, and Josh's phone rang. Surprised, Josh watched as Finn smirked and left. Josh wasted no time in blocking Finn's number before even getting home to tell Lizzie about all that happened. Few months passed, and Josh had landed a job interview. As he sat waiting for his job interview, he was shocked when Finn walked in. Instantly, Josh felt weak in the knees and slumped in his seat. Finn acted as if they had never met before, conducting the interview with professionalism. Josh was overcome with nervousness and perspiration throughout the entire interview. Meeting Finn again caught him completely off guard, and he couldn't help but think that his chances of getting the job were slim. Josh was sitting at home, browsing for other job opportunities on his computer, having no hopes for the interview with Finn. Suddenly, to his surprise, an email popped up announcing that he had been hired as the CEO's personal assistant. Lizzie asked him how he was going to face Finn, and he replied that since Finn likely worked in the HR department, they probably wouldn't bump into each other often. On his first day of work, Josh went to a coffee shop near the company and encountered Finn again. Playfully, he hit Finn's back, saying, "We meet again." Finn said nothing, and Josh continued, "Since we'll be working in the same place now, let's forget about the past and get along, okay?" Seeing Finn holding many cups of coffee, Josh assumed they were for other employees. He casually took one, saying, "I'll take this," and left with a smile. When Josh arrived at the office, he found that the CEO hadn't arrived yet. Josh decided to mingle with his new colleagues until the boss arrived. Luckily, they were all friendly and easygoing, making it effortless for Josh to befriend them. Just then, Finn entered the room, smiling, distributing coffee for everyone. Afterward, He went into the CEO's office and took a seat. Josh asked one of his colleagues, "Can anyone just enter the CEO's office and sit?" His colleague replied, "That has never happened before." Josh then pointed at Finn saying, "But he just did," and his colleague responded, "He is the CEO." Josh felt his legs go numb, nearly losing his balance, and just then, Finn called him to his office. Nervously, Josh walked into Finn's office. Before Finn could say anything, Josh blurted out, "Are you going to fire me?" Finn just brought out a large box of folders and placed it on the table, explaining, "This is everything you need to know about the company. You have a week to memorize it." He then brought out another file, adding, "And this is everything you need to know about me, as well as your duties as my personal assistant." Josh took the file from Finn and opened it, only to be shocked by its demanding contents. Reading aloud, he exclaimed, "Get to work by 5 o'clock am. Head to work immediately when called, even on holidays. Always be available 24/7. This is ridiculous. I'm not a working machine." Finn simply responded, "You can quit if you want to." Josh asked Finn if he was doing this to get back at him, but Finn remained silent, pushing the box of folders toward him. Josh picked up the box of folders and started to leave, but Finn stopped him, inquiring, "Where are you going?" Josh responded, "To my office space." Finn then asked, "Do you have an office space?" And Josh shook his head in response. Finn pointed to a small working space in the corner of his office, and Josh quietly went there. The next day, Josh woke up late, and it was already 7 o'clock am by the time he arrived at work. He rushed in, panicking about being late, but bumped into Finn, who had just arrived as well. Finn remarked, "You're late." Josh retorted, "You're late too. You want me to start work at 5 o'clock am, but you're just getting here now." Finn clarified, "You're supposed to be at my house by 5 o'clock am. That's when your work starts." Josh protested, "Well, you didn't tell me that, and why exactly do you need me at 5 o'clock am?" Finn replied, "That's when I start work, so that's when you start too. I'll let your lateness slide for today, but next time your salary will be deducted." With that, Finn began to walk away, and Josh followed, insisting that Finn wasn't being fair. In the days that followed, Josh tried to always arrive at Finn's house on time. The only things he did there was reviewing the day's schedule and tasks, having breakfast, sometimes meeting clients, and then driving Finn to work. Josh frequently dozed off, and on one occasion, when Finn caught him, he threatened to dock his salary. Josh retorted that he wouldn't be dozing off if he got enough sleep, then, jokingly suggested moving in with Finn to avoid getting home late and waking up early. Finn said that's a good idea. Josh, who wasn't expecting such response, quickly replied, "I was just kidding." However, Finn responded, "I'll prepare a room for you to move in anytime you want." Apart from work-related matters, Finn hardly engaged in conversation with Josh, maintaining a serious demeanor even though they spend a lot of time together. In contrast, Finn was always friendly and smiley with other employees, often chatting with them about non-work-related topics. One day, after Finn had just finished conversing with an employee while smiling, Josh, who had finished eating, approached him and slammed his fist on the table. Surprised, Finn asked, "What's wrong with you?" Josh retorted, "Why are you always smiling at everyone but me?" Finn stood up and asked if Josh was okay, noticing Josh wasn't acting normal. Ignoring the question, Josh persisted, asking, "Why are you always mean to me?" Finn, trying to steady Josh as he struggled to maintain his balance, responded, "When was I mean to you?" Josh replied, "Every day. Are you still holding a grudge against me?" Finn leaned closer to Josh's face, checking for any signs of alcohol, but found none. Suddenly, Josh grabbed Finn's face, pulling back the corners of his lips to force a smile onto Finn's face, saying, "I want you to smile at me too." Josh started crying, and when Finn asked why he was crying, he started laughing. Confused, Finn asked, "Are you crying or laughing?" And just then, Josh collapsed to the ground. Finn carried Josh to his office couch and promptly called the company's nurse. Upon examining Josh, the nurse informed Finn that Josh was simply drunk and sleeping. Finn insisted that Josh hadn't consumed any alcohol, but the nurse speculated that perhaps there was alcohol in something he ate. And since Josh had no tolerance for alcohol, it affected him this way. After the nurse left, Finn covered Josh with his suit jacket and returned to his work. Josh opened his eyes to find himself on the couch, with darkness outside. He kept his eyes shut, pretending to be asleep, knowing he was in trouble. After a few minutes, Finn said, "For how long are you going to pretend to be sleeping?" Josh quickly got up, wearing a guilty look, and asked, "You're not going to deduct my salary, are you?" Without replying, Finn informed him to be ready, as they would be going on a business trip in a week's time. Josh responded, stating he didn't have a passport. Finn sighed heavily, seemingly speechless. He then remarked, "Who doesn't have a passport at such a big age?" Josh sheepishly raised his hand. Finn looked at him, speechless for a moment, then finally said, "I'll do something about that. Be prepared to travel next week." Josh inquired if Finn was finished with work so that he could drive him home, but Finn responded that he would be driving instead. When Josh asked why, Finn remained silent. Within the week, Finn managed to obtain Josh's passport and all the necessary documents for their travel. On the day of their flight, as they sat in the plane, Josh turned to Finn and asked, "Can I hold your hand? It's my first time flying, and I'm kind of nervous." Finn silently extended his hand, surprising Josh, who hadn't expected Finn to agree so readily. Josh took Finn's hand and held onto it tightly throughout the flight. When they landed and arrived at their hotel, Josh expected to have his own room, but to his surprise, he found out he would be sharing a room with Finn. When he questioned Finn about it, Finn reasoned that having separate rooms would be wasteful since they would be working together the whole time anyway. Throughout the trip, they worked tirelessly, with little time for rest. Often, they would fall asleep, resting against each other. Before eating anything, Finn made sure to check for any alcohol content before allowing Josh to eat. On the last day of their trip, they met with some business partners to finalize a deal. As Finn engaged in discussions with the business partners, Josh sat beside him doing nothing. As the discussion dragged on, Josh grew increasingly bored. Eventually, he went out to take a stroll and also explore a little. Meanwhile, Finn, unaware that Josh had left, completed his meeting and glanced around to find Josh missing. He frantically searched and dialed Josh's phone, only to realize Josh had forgotten it. Despite his efforts asking people if they'd seen Josh by showing his picture, no one had any leads. His worry turned to relief when he finally spotted Josh walking towards him. He rushed to hug him tightly, asking where he had been. Josh, looking confused and surprised, explained that he had just gone for a walk, and then asked if Finn had been searching for him. Finn responded, "I got worried when I didn't see you beside me," to which Josh replied, "I'm not a kid, I won't get lost easily." Finn hugged him even tighter, and Josh found himself hugging back. On the plane ride back, Finn reached out to hold Josh's hand. Josh said, "You don't have to hold my hand, I'm no longer nervous." Feeling embarrassed, Finn withdrew his hand. Since the trip, Josh started feeling differently about Finn. He couldn't stop thinking about how worried Finn had hugged him and how he had held his hand on the plane. Unlike before, when he always wanted work to end early so he could go home, now he didn't even want to leave. He was willing to work all night, as long as he was with Finn. He told Lizzie about his new feelings, and when she asked him how exactly he felt, he said, "He always has this radiant, sparkling glow whenever I see him, and it's like he's walking in slow motion, with that smile of his beaming at me. My heart flutters, and there's this funny feeling in my stomach. I just can't get our special moment during the trip out of my head, and I find myself constantly thinking about him. Whenever I see him, I can't help but smile." Josh was about to continue, but Lizzie interrupted, saying, "Enough, you watch too many dramas. Just say you like him. I knew this day would come sooner or later." Josh asked, "How did you know?" Lizzie responded, "I saw the way you were drooling at his picture the first time I showed it to you. I don't even know why you blocked him." Josh admitted, "I know, right? I shouldn't have blocked him then." Lizzie then asked Josh if he planned to tell Finn that he liked him. Josh replied that he wasn't sure if Finn liked him back, and he didn't want to risk making things awkward at work. She told him to observe how much Finn cares about him. If Finn worries more than he should, then he definitely likes him. At work, Josh accidentally cut his finger with a cutter and let out a small shout of pain. Without hesitation, Finn rushed over to him, taking hold of his finger to inspect the wound, while scolding Josh for not being careful. Josh was left speechless as Finn cleaned the cut and applied a plaster. When Josh attempted to lift some boxes with his colleagues, Finn immediately intervened, reminding Josh that his cut hadn't healed yet and insisting on carrying the boxes himself, ignoring the other employees who appeared to be struggling more. Josh just smiled, blushing, following Finn. Finn didn't even let him eat until he has inspected the food. Finn did things that Josh just realized he used to do for him before, that he never really paid attention to. He shared everything to Lizzie, who couldn't contain her excitement. "He is totally into you," she squealed. "You can definitely tell him how you feel now." Josh hesitated, saying, "No, I want him to make the first move. What if we're wrong, and he's just a nice person?" Lizzie countered, "If he wanted to, he would have done it already. You shouldn't wait for him to initiate." Despite his skepticism, Lizzie suggested they give Finn a little push. Josh brainstormed ways to give Finn a push, and an opportunity presented itself when a charming guy named Elvis visited their company. Josh decided to flirt with Elvis and try to make Finn jealous. As Josh flirted with Elvis, and Elvis flirted back, Finn appeared. Elvis immediately rushed over to hug Finn, and Finn reciprocated the hug with excitement. Confused, Josh asked a colleague if Elvis and Finn knew each other, only to find out that Elvis was Finn's ex. Shocked, jealous, and upset, Josh stormed off. Josh ignored Elvis as he left and kept his interactions with Finn strictly work-related. Even when Finn asked him about work, Josh responded with single or short answers, maintaining a straight face. After work, as they were leaving, Finn insisted on driving instead. Josh responded by saying he was going home by himself. Then, it took Finn some time to finally convince Josh to let him drive him home. The ride to Josh's house was silent. When they arrived, Josh attempted to exit the car, but Finn locked the doors and said he wouldn't open it if Josh doesn't tell him why he was acting that way. Josh remained silent for a while before finally asking, "Do you hug and smile at all your exes like that?" Finn smiled and responded, "Is that why you've been mad at me the whole day?" Josh insisted, "That doesn't answer my question." Finn explained, "I don't consider Elvis as my ex because we only dated for a week in high school, and we broke up when I found out he was a bit unstable. But he's actually a really good person, and we've been close friends ever since." Josh nodded his head and simply said, "Okay." Finn then asked, "Are you okay now?" To which Josh responded, "When was I not okay?" Finn asked, "Do you want to come to my house instead?" And Josh replied, "We're done with work for the day." Finn clarified, "We're not going to work." Josh responded, "Okay," and Finn swiftly drove them to his house. When they arrived and entered Finn's house, Josh remarked, "I always come here, but I've never really looked around." As he spoke, he began exploring, opening cabinets and inspecting items he had never noticed before. Suddenly, he stumbled upon items like a blindfold, whip, and handcuffs in a drawer. He turned to look at Finn, who smirked and asked, "Do you like them? I remember you saying you liked things rough in bed." Josh quickly responded, "Why do you still remember that? And everything I said back then was a lie. Why do you have these things in your house?" Finn laughed, saying, "These aren't mine, I promise. They belong to Elvis. I really should ban him from coming to my house." Josh gave Finn a suspicious look, and Finn insisted, "Believe me, they really don't belong to me." And Josh replied, "Okay, I believe you." Finn then said, "I remember the first day we met. It was really fun watching you try to make me mad. I became really interested in you and wanted to get to know you actually, but you blocked me." Josh replied, "Sorry," with a guilty face. Finn then expressed that he was really excited when he got to see Josh again. Josh replied, noting that Finn didn't appear excited to him. Finn explained that he was indeed excited, but also a bit shy, which led to his behavior earlier. Josh questioned, "That's you being shy? You have a different type of shyness? Because that is absolutely not being shy." Finn admitted that he didn't know how to behave around Josh. Finn moved closer to Josh and confessed, I like you. I was still gathering enough courage to tell you. But if I don't tell you now, then I don't think I'll ever tell you. Josh smiled and responded, I like you too, but you're too nice. Stop being nice to other people and be nice to only me. Finn replied, but I've always been nice to only you. Josh countered, is that what you think? Finn replied, I can't really think right now. All I'm thinking about is I want to kiss you right now. Josh responded, who is stopping you? Before he could finish his sentence, Finn pulled him into a kiss. They began the kiss intensely, eating up each other's lips. When they pulled apart, Josh took the handcuffs from the drawer, asking with a smirk, do you want to try it? Finn pulled him into the bedroom, but as they arrived, Josh tossed the handcuffs aside and pushed Finn onto the bed. Climbing on top of him, Josh asked, are you sure those things don't belong to you? Without replying, Finn pulled Josh back into a kiss, turning him over so he was on top. With gentle pressure, Finn's hand moved to rub Josh's thigh, his thumb caressing the upper inner thigh. They spent a passionate night together, wrapped in each other's arms. The next morning, Josh returned home to find Lizzie there. The moment she saw him, she asked, did you sleep with him last night? Shocked, Josh questioned, how did you know? Lizzie exclaimed, you really slept with him? Josh admitted, you know I haven't done it in a while, so I couldn't hold myself back. Lizzie retorted, when have you ever held yourself back? You even did it when you two aren't even dating. Josh responded, we are dating now. Lizzie reacted, wow, that was so fast, but I'm glad you're no longer single, and I hope he treats you well. In the days that followed, Finn began picking up Josh for work instead of Josh going to his house. Although Josh initially wanted to keep their relationship a secret, Finn had already informed everyone. As they spent more time together, they gradually got to know each other better, discovering new things about each other every day.